Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for watching. Thanks for visiting our channel, Living with LNS. My name is Joe Fusco. I am Joseph's dad. You've seen a lot of videos of him, whether it's in his gait trainer or laughing at his fur brother, Sinatra, or just generally making us happy. And so I wanted to come on and kind of do an introduction video and an informational video about what LNS is and kind of give you guys a little glimpse into what our life is like here from my perspective. I've been saying I was going to do a video like this for a while since I started the channel back in October. And then I decided to put up, a bunch of old videos, kind of start when Joseph was a baby and then work my way up through now. All right. Which I completed the other day. And so we are all caught up. We're up to his 4th birthday already. I can't believe it. And so I thought today I would just sit down and kind of go over who we are and what Joseph's diagnosis means to us. So LNS stands for Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. It's a rare genetic disease that kind of similar to cerebral palsy, except with a few added symptoms as well. Children with this disease are often delayed cognitively and certainly physically. In Joseph's case, we found more of the physical delays and not so much cognitive, but certainly with his speech. He's not yet putting together sentences, but we know him well enough where we can decipher what he wants. And so Joseph's diagnosis was an interesting time for us. He was born via C-section, December 15th, 2019. He was a full-term baby. No issues with the C-section or anything like that. And then after a few days, we were sent to the NICU because Joseph suffered from a seizure. And he wasn't feeding properly as well. And so we were sent to the NICU. He had his seizure. We were sent to the wonderful people at UMass near where we live. They didn't quite have the equipment to monitor him for seizure activity 24/7. And so they sent us out to Boston Children's Hospital. Where we stayed for about a week. Spent Christmas out there. It was interesting. They do a wonderful job out there, taking care of patients, families, everything, you name it, and they'll help you do it. They're wonderful people out there. And so Joseph didn't suffer any more seizures. We spent time in the NICU out in Boston, just long enough so that he was able to feed a little bit better, so that his nourishment went up, and once he was able to feed without to eat without using a feeding tube, that was when we were allowed to go back to UMass for a little bit and then finally home. But while we were in Boston, at Boston Children's, they wanted to try to figure out what the cause of the seizure was. And so they had all 3 of us do blood tests, and we did a gene test. And that's when we found out about a month later that Joseph has what's known as Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. No one else in our family has ever had this before. In fact, the metabolic doctor who gave us the diagnosis, she was lucky enough to deliver that bad news. She was wonderful, very, very sympathetic and everything for us, very compassionate. She's never had a patient with Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, and we kind of have heard that from quite a few of his service providers. It's very rare. It's about 1 in 350,000, predominantly in males. Not many around here. I think until recently, Joseph was the only boy in Massachusetts that had LNS. I believe recently there is one more now. We haven't had a chance to connect yet, but I'm hopeful that we can eventually. And so the diagnosis was quite a shock to us, just given that no one in our family has anything like this. So definitely an adjustment, a big time gut punch, that's for sure. You kind of have this whole image of what you think your life is going to be like with your family, and then in an instant it kind of shatters, and you're left to sort of pick up all the little teeny tiny pieces and try to put them together into something that is similar, but definitely not quite what you were expecting. And so, it took a long time on our parts to kind of come to terms with this diagnosis, and plus, I mean, it's a new disease. It was just discovered and named in the late 60s. And so there's not a ton of research on it. In terms of a cure, there is none. There's just, medications to help with the uric acid levels, which is a hallmark of Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, very high uric acid levels and gouty arthritis. And so there's medication to deal with that. Joseph's been on allopurinol and potassium citrate twice a day since he was about a month old, maybe two. It was shortly after he was diagnosed that we started on the medications. And so we use those to help out with the uric acid levels. And his blood work has looked good recently, and his urine has looked good as well, which we're thankful for. He was also on phenobarbital, which is a seizure medication. That only lasted for the first year of his life. Thankfully, after his one seizure in the NICU, that didn't happen again. So we're on the allopurinol, we're on the potassium citrate to help manage that uric acid. And then more recently, to help with his dystonia and spasticity, we started on baclofen, which is a bit of a muscle relaxer. So one of the other symptoms of Lesch-Nyhan syndrome is that muscles get really tight, right? Really tight, really rigid. And so if you've seen some of our videos, you may have seen Joseph with his arms out, kind of like this, like Superman, right? Kind of like out like that, especially his left arm. And he also has trouble releasing his hands at times. If he's holding on to something, he might not let go. That's why if you have long hair, watch out. If you're going to give him a hug, just make sure that his hands are down, because he might grab you. And it's nothing intentional, right? It's just the way that his body operates. His mind doesn't want him to do this, but his body says, well, you know what, we're going to do it anyways. And so to help with that dystonia, right, that the muscle stiffness, and then the spasticity of, I might be sitting right next to him and we're good, we're calm, and then all of a sudden, whack, I'll get a nice backhand from mostly his left arm, because of the spasticity and the rigidity. And so to help with that, we just started on baclofen as well. Joseph is wheelchair bound. You may have seen his wheelchair in a couple videos. The wheelchair is relatively new. We got it after he turned 3, so we've had it for over a year. But relative to everything else, it's new. It has a nice padded seat, nice cushiony seat for him, so he's relatively comfortable, I guess. It has a head cushion, which is nice, because another part of that dystonia, that rigidity, is that his body will sometimes kind of stiffen like this, and he'll go back against the head of his wheelchair. And if that wasn't padded, oh my goodness, he would have so many concussions. And so we don't want that to happen. So that's definitely padded. It also has a tray with nice, cool plastic tray. So he can play on it. He can color. He can do art. He can build blocks. Whatever he wants to do on it, he can do so using that tray. And so that's his wheelchair. We also now have a Lecky My Way gait trainer, and you may have seen a couple videos of him using this as well. And that one's interesting. He goes into a harness, kind of like you were rock climbing, right? It kind of goes around your waist, and then it hooks into these straps that come over his shoulders and around his torso, and that allows him to kind of stand up straight, and then he goes from there. It's funny because in other parts of his body, his muscle tone is very low. In his shoulders, his neck area, his chest, it's low. His arms, there's not much muscle tone. But boy, is his lower body strong. I mean, his legs will motor him from one end to the other, and he's always wanted to walk. And I mean, he's 4 years old, right? What 4-year-old doesn't want to walk? And so we started off with a Riften Pacer gait trainer, which was a little bit much smaller, as he was. Also some videos of that if you'd like to check it out. And that one's strapped around his chest under his armpits to hold him up like that. The Lecky My Way gait trainer, instead, it's a harness that goes up almost like putting on a pair of briefs, and it buckles in, allows him to move, and there's nothing in front to prevent him from going right up to a table, say at school. They have one at school too. It's awesome. Going up to a table and participating, right? Taking part in the activities or the games or coloring or making his choices of what he wants to play with or interacting with his friends. And so that gait trainer has been immensely helpful for us as well. We go on family walks and things like that. So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a devastating diagnosis. And anyone who has a loved one with a life-altering diagnosis like that knows what I'm talking about. You know, is he relatively healthy given the diagnosis? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But at the same time, there's things that he might not be able to do, right? Obviously. And, you know, we kind of come to terms with that and we take it one day at a time. That's become our family motto. You know, one day at a time. We try to be as positive as possible. We focus on the good. We look at all the growth, all the learning that Joseph does every single day. You know, he's on his second year of preschool, so he's making friends. He's working on his speech and occupational therapy and physical therapy and learning his numbers and his shapes and his colors and his letters. And, you know, he knows he can recognize all the letters in his name, which, you know, the day that we got the diagnosis, we weren't even sure if he'd be able to do that. And so he's always surprising us, you know, with what he knows and what he learns. And he's just so lovable, you know, and he's funny. He has quite a personality. His big thing is bugs, right? So what do you want to have for lunch? Bugs. And he has I don't want to say accent, but this is the way his voice says it. Bugs. You want to have bugs? Yes. What kind of sandwich do you want? Bugs. Okay, so everything was bugs, especially over the summer. We went camping, and everything after that was bugs. And so, you know, he's growing and he's learning, and we're learning too every day. You know, we learn how to be patient. We learn how to help him. We learn more resources to better support him. And it's a process. You know, it really is. And my wife, Brienne, is just wonderful at you know, diving in head first into every possible resource or device or piece of equipment or person we should contact. And you know, I look at it I'm a special ed teacher myself, and so I look at it through an academic lens sometimes too, which I think has been helpful with his own experience in preschool. So, you know, it's a lot. Every day is sort of a roller coaster. Every day is an adventure. But he's wonderful, and you know, we wouldn't trade him for the world. And we've learned so much, and we're going to continue to learn so much. And so, you know, like our videos, subscribe if you want to. I'm going to keep posting things like this. I'm going to keep taking videos of Joseph on his journey, and just as our family sort of lives and navigates through the waters of a rare disease, such as Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. Feel free to comment with any questions that you might have, and I'll do my best to answer. And otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care.